Hello everyone, I am Siva Satyendra and I will be presenting some results from our work on the modeling and analysis for designing fault-tolerant embedded systems. I am currently working as a postdoctoral researcher with the chair for processor design at TU Dresden. I completed my PhD last year from NUS Singapore in the field of reliability in embedded systems. In this talk, I'll first introduce the problem statement and then present the modeling approaches proposed by us. We'll then look at the proposed estimation methods which help us in the design space exploration, specifically for soft real-time systems. Then we'll look at the results from the experimental evaluation of the modeling and estimation methods. To provide the motivation for this work, we start with the question of why do we need reliability. In fact, why reliability continues to be the primary non-functional design objective, even for modern electronic systems. The simplest answer would be because of rising fault rates. Technological and architectural innovations such as deeper pipelines and reduced supply voltages have resulted in decreased electrical masking, increase in the latching window masking, which have resulted in the transient events leading to increasing fault rates, increasing soft errors. Uh, the problem of rising fault rates is applicable to both transient and aging related faults. If we consider both these types of faults together in the bathtub curve, we note that in addition to the increasing soft error rate during the normal lifetime of the system, the normal lifetime of the system itself is reduced. So to increase the normal lifetime, we need to be able to tolerate more and more faults by every means possible. So in this scenario, we need to keep electronic systems useful by designing application-specific fault tolerance, which could be a mix of different types of redundancy methods, which suit that particular application. In our current work, we focus on the design of temporal redundancy only. Here we see the more frequently used methods such as retry and checkpointing with rollback. While retry involves the complete re-execution of a computation task, like when there's an error detected, checkpointing with rollback recovery allows partial re-execution, but it has the additional overheads of storing the intermediate results and doing a recovery. Whenever there's an error. The design parameters in the case of checkpointing would be determining the number of inter-checkpoint intervals which satisfy the application's constraints. Most related works in the analysis of checkpointing use assumptions such as single event per interval and equidistant checkpoints. These assumptions, while help in the doing a simpler analysis, may not be applicable in view of the rising faults. Further, the traditional analysis methods are not applicable to more complex designs, such as the one shown here and was proposed in 2016. This design tries to overcome longer checkpointing latencies by using intermittent validations within each inter-checkpoint interval. So each validation might not be followed by storing the checkpoint, but in case of a fault during the intervalidation interval, there has to be a rollback. In addition to the regular overheads that it introduces, it also introduces additional design parameters. So instead of just determining what should be the total number of inter-checkpoint intervals for that application, we now need to determine what should be the total number of intervalidation intervals as well. In the context of soft real-time systems, in most cases, we might be more concerned with the probability of task completion within a deadline rather than the average execution time. Some related works use the average execution time as a design metric, but that might not be completely useful for most real-time systems. Temporal redundancy-based methods such as retry and checkpointing allow the fault mitigation, but also introduce uncertainty in the total execution time. And as we see here, the lowest average execution time design does not necessarily coincide with the one that meets the probability constraints of that application. The existing methods of design space exploration in soft real-time systems do not usually scale for such complex designs, and because complex designs like the checkpointing with intermittent validations introduce newer design parameters and result in a large design space. So having some simulation methods based on fault injection might be too costly for such a large design space. Here we show the comparison of the simulation time and the result quality of two methods. In one case, the fault injection based simulation was used, and in the other case, we simulated a Markov chain model of that particular design. We can observe that simulating the Markov chain model scales better with increasing number of simulations that we might need, and the result quality is comparable to that with the fault injection based simulation. Based on this, we used a Markov chain modeling for the checkpointing with intermittent validations method. This figure shows the typical execution flow of the design with and without errors, and if in case of errors, how often the rollback has to be done. So in our work, we model the complete execution as a chain of three types of different states. The first is the EE state, which basically stands for useful execution followed by error detection or validation. The second one, the CE state, which stands for again like checkpointing followed by detection or validation, and the third is the recovery, similarly followed by error detection. Each state in the Markov chain has two types of transitions: a forward and a rollback transition. The rollback transition happens when there's an error detected in any of these states during the execution of any of these states. The transition probabilities are based on the state residence time of each state, and similar to other works, we model the interval time of the soft errors as a Poisson distribution. Based on the type of states present in any part of the chain, we kind of model each intercheckpoint interval as either of three types of subchains: the start chain, the generic chain, and the end chain. We model the generic subchain as for the estimation and the analysis part. We model the generic subchain as an absorbing Markov chain, and the other two types of subchains are treated as kind of special cases. The resulting transition matrix is made of an identity matrix, which basically shows the transition probabilities between each of the absorbing states. The matrix Q over here represents the transition probabilities among the transient states, and R represents the transition probabilities between transient and absorbing states. Following this, the mean execution time for each interval is computed based on well-established analysis of absorbing Markov chains. For instance, we compute the fundamental matrix over here as the inverse of the identity minus the Q matrix. Here and then the mean execution time of each intercheckpoint interval is computed from as shown here in the figure. So the t vector over here is a vector of all the state residence times of each of the transient states, and the ordering is same as that of the Q matrix. So for the start and the end chain, we provided appropriate adjustments so that we can model them correctly, similar to the generic subchain. The plot over here shows a sample variation in one case where we vary the m and the n values, and we show the variation in the average execution time. The red colored mesh shown at the lower basically shows the minimum execution time, and this minimum execution time is determined from the minimum overheads that you can get even in the event that there's no error, because there will always be the detection and the checkpointing stages. This estimation method for determining the mean was evaluated for varying values of the parameters such as the checkpointing time, uh, the error rate, and the task execution time without any fault mitigation methods being used. While there were some errors in the absolute values compared to simulation values, the trends for the variations were similar to simulation results. Uh, a similar straightforward approach as used for estimating the mean, uh, when the similar approach was used for variance, there were some issues. So for instance, if we just add up the variance of each of the constituent states, it might work for smaller values of checkpointing time. But we observed that with for very high values of checkpointing time, uh, there were large errors as shown in these two cases. So the upper one actually has a checkpointing time of say 2 compared to a total execution time of 1000, uh, while the lower one has a checkpointing time of 20 compared to similar minimum execution time of 1000. We see that in the lower case, in the lower figure, which basically has a higher checkpointing time. Uh, there were large amount of error were observed, and this error kept increasing as we increased the n. Uh, this was due to the covariance among the different states. So to overcome this, we tried to include the covariance of different states as well, and as a result, we could reduce the error in the variance estimation to around 9% from 28% in the other case. To show the effectiveness of the timing reliability estimation, we used a sample design space exploration problem, which basically needs to find the right design parameters of the number of intercheckpoint intervals and the number of intervalidation intervals that satisfy the application specific constraints with respect to average execution time and the probability of completing within the deadline with some probability. For timing reliability estimation, we used three methods which have varying estimation time, and we use those for kind of showing the pruning of the total design space. The evaluation time of each of these three methods for 100,000 evaluations is shown here. The cheapest method, which is the CDF ICI, determines the probability of a single interval exceeding the total slack between deadline and the minimum execution time. The second method shown here is like PDF Conv, determines the probability distribution of each intercheckpoint interval, convolves it n times, and the resulting distribution is used to determine the probability of completing the task within a deadline. The method with the highest cost is basically a Monte Carlo simulation of the Markov chain, and we use that as kind of as the golden value to compare other methods. We tested the pruning performance of each method with varying design parameters and specifications. Here we show the percentage of design points considered as feasible by each of the three methods for an increasing checkpointing cost. It can be observed that the CDF based method, being very optimistic, reports a large number of points as feasible. The Markov chain Monte Carlo simulation method, which was used as the golden method, shows similar performance to shows the best performance, but the performance of the PDF convolution based method is close to that of the simulation method for many of the cases. So we tested these. We did the evaluation of these methods for different real-time constraints. So we basically varied the requirements of the probability requirements from 0.7, then 0.8, 0.9, and 0.95, and we can see similar trends for each of the pruning methods. Similarly, we performed kind of the evaluations and observed kind of similar trends for varying the deadline and for varying the error rates. To conclude, we need better modeling and estimation methods for the design space exploration in newer reliability design approaches such as cross-layer reliability. So cross-layer reliability uses a mix of different kinds of redundancies and uh, and but this also results in a very large design space. Faster estimation methods can be used for kind of pruning this large design space. To this end, we have presented novel methods for temporal redundancy, and we plan to integrate these methods into a cross-layer design space exploration. Thank you for your patience.